Rage. Scream it out loud. This is Rasslin Rage. Cody Fleming is the man who leads the brigade. It's going down. This is Rasslin Rage. We'll do it now. This is Rasslin Rage. Scream it out loud. This is Rasslin Rage. Cody Fleming is the man who leads the brigade. Do it now. This is Rasslin Rage. Scream it out loud. This is Rasslin Rage. Cody Fleming is the man who leads the brigade.
I'm with Cody Hawk, and he's joining me all the way from Ohio down there. And so we talked about a little bit. We had some audio problems, so I apologize to him. But we were talking about he's being inducted, or he's getting an award from Cauliflower Alley Club down in Las Vegas in April, right, or May?
It's the last 2 days of April and the first day of May, the 29th, 30th, and the 1st.
Okay, and you know, and some people may know him, maybe you don't, maybe you do, but you know, he trained Dean Ambrose, and he's coming down to Vegas, and he's going to present you with this award. And as I talked about earlier, that's awesome, because that says a lot about you as a trainer, that somebody like that will come out, take the time out, and do that.
Yeah, for sure, man. Very cool that he's willing to go out of his way and give up his free time to come hang out with us for an afternoon and present me with this award.
Heck yeah. Now, so I know that you're part of the 5MW, the 5 Most Wanted, and we got a couple different branches going on. You guys are like an enterprise or something going on here. But I know you and your brethren, you guys, and you got some women part of the group as well. You guys head out there every year. You guys go to Vegas for the Cauliflower Alley Club. What's the, you know, and I know there's a lot of guys that are part of that club. What's that like for you going down there and you know, and just kind of talking to all these people within the business that, and you probably, a lot of them are probably your friends anyways, but
yeah, it's you know, it's something I look forward to every year. Just going out to Vegas. You know, like I love going out west anyway because it's warm, and you know, I love it out there so much, more so than the Midwest here. But you know, and Vegas is a super cool, fun city anyway. And then just add in the fact that there's a 4-day-long wrestling convention going on where I get to see people that I may only see once a year, people that I met 15 years ago, 20 years ago, early on in my career. It's just, you know, it's a cool couple of days of catching up, telling stories, meeting people, meeting fans, you know, kind of spreading your name around. You know, if you're younger in the business, it's a great place to network because there are tons of promoters there. There are tons of wrestlers from all over the United States and Canada. You know, it's just a good time. And the actual Cauliflower Alley itself, it's a nonprofit organization that gives back and takes care of wrestlers and boxers who fall on hard times. So, I mean, for me, it's a perfect scenario of fun for a few days.
Yeah, amen. Now you're working along with Future Great Wrestling, and there's, I wouldn't say there was controversy. I mean, but the town of Hamilton, Ohio, correct? There was a little bit of like they didn't want it to happen.
Some concerns that you know, the wrestlers would abduct their animals or break into their houses and kill them in their sleep or ruin their yards by parking in them. These were literal things that were said in a city council meeting by the people of this community. And so yeah, we took the fight to them, and you know, ended up going back for a second city council meeting. We showed up, all the wrestlers and a bunch of the fans. Everybody was dressed out, everybody looked good, and we rolled up in there, presented our case, and then they unanimously voted to let us go ahead and have the shows.
And that's awesome, and it's been a hit ever since. I mean, it's sold out shows every time now. Am I right? Pretty much.
No, we're not selling them out completely at this point. You know, we can hold 225. You know, we sold out the first couple of shows, and I expected that, and I also expected, you know, after the novelty factor wears off, your numbers drop off a little bit until you get down to your base core fans and you start building. And you know, we've been holding steady for the last like 5 weeks at about 150 people. So, you know, I'm pretty happy with that for a weekly show. There are plenty of independent companies that don't draw that on a monthly basis.
Yeah, amen to that. I mean, do you think that running weekly on independence is? I would think it's a whole lot harder than running monthly for sure, right? I mean,
Uh, for me, I want to run weekly. Like I can't stand running monthly. It's just everything moves so slow. When you're running weekly, man, like I can bust out, in 2 months' time what it takes you damn near a half a year to put out.
Right.
I love running at that pace. I like fast-moving stories. I think it really helps with character development too of young talent and people cutting their teeth. When you're doing it every week and you're actually following, a story, I feel it's much different than doing a monthly where it's just, you're following a story, but it's not as in depth. There's not as many details.
Right. Most definitely. So, we talked about you. You've been in the business for 23 years. How long of the 23 years have you been actively as a trainer as well as an active worker? I mean,
Well, I never actually aspired to be a trainer. I ended up being like the go-to guy when the main trainer wasn't there when I was learning. It was like, all right, you're the most senior guy here. You know all the drills. You run everybody through class tonight. And that sort of just bred me into training. And I actually started doing that kind of stuff pretty early on, maybe 2.5, 3, 4 years into the business, somewhere around there. Just running somebody else's class, running their drills, and over time, over another 3 or 4 years period of time, that became more and more the norm, and I kept just doing the same drills that
Right.
we had been doing for ever since I started, and kind of making up my own drills along the way as well, and it evolved. So I've been training people, I'd say at least 18 of the 23 years.
wow. Wow, that's amazing. Now, so you train, you're active, you're all over the place. I mean, I see your Facebook, you're constantly on the road stories and stuff like that. And it's really cool to, be around and listen to some of you guys talk about, the road stories and things that have went on and stuff like that. But what's one of the coolest things to you about being on the road?
I just like traveling. I like seeing the countryside. I like seeing things that, you don't normally get to see if you're just a person who hangs out in the Midwest. If you live in, Cincinnati and you don't really get outside of your bubble, there's just so many things out there that I've run across that I don't think I would have ever seen had I not been in the wrestling business.
Yeah.
And, not to mention, the people that go along with some of those things.
Right.
I've been fortunate to hit just about every state in the country, and I know I would have never done that had I just pursued a normal career and, normal life.
Right. Now, I was reading some of your biography on your website there, and I didn't know this. I had no idea that you started out racing cars. I had no clue about that. Do you still kind of get into that, or?
Yeah, I love the drag racing stuff, and I would go to the drag strip every Saturday and race my old car, and which is actually what I ended up selling to pay for wrestling school.
That's a great story right there in itself.
Yeah, and I this past summer I actually took my girlfriend Shauna Reed to the drag strip where I used to race, and took her there and introduced her to bracket racing, and and she was pretty blown away by it. So I definitely look forward to going back again this summer.
That's cool. I mean, that's so cool. Like how one thing leads to another, and you never thought, and in that story it says you never thought you would have ever aspired to be a wrestler, like you wanted to race.
Yeah. That was I had been building a car through my last 2 years of high school. I'd been dumping every dime that I made off of a job into this car, and and I was racing it every weekend. As soon as the weather broke and spring hit, I was going to the local drag strip in town and racing it as much as I could. And then somebody took me to a wrestling school, and I watched a couple guys roll around for 2 hours, and I was like, oh my God, like I have to do this. And at that time I was married, and the wife said, you can have your car or you can have wrestling. You make the choice. And I was like, well, school's $2,500. The car, putting a for sale sign on it, $2,500, even though I had spent probably $15,000 in the last 2 years. And, it sold right away, and I started class, a few weeks later.
Well, it definitely paid off, I would think, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a pretty damn good time.
Yeah, hell yeah. So, I mean, talking about, the school, Les Thatcher, and there's a little bit of history there. And I was, before you even started wrestling, you were a referee, right?
Yeah, back then, and depending on who your trainer is, Les used to start all of us off as referees. It was a way to get you on the show really quick when he knew it was going to be a year and a half, 2 years before he actually let you wrestle on a show. At least you could get out there and do something. So, plus being a ref just gives you a totally different view of things in the ring, and I learned a lot. I value that now.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you. Do you feel like, I mean, obviously, and you just said it really did help you out. Do you think a lot of guys should start out like that? I mean, obviously you start at the bottom, but do you think that maybe a lot of guys should maybe do something like that, or?
It depends. It depends on their body size and their build. You can't put a big gigantic guy out there in stripes that towers over the wrestlers.
Right.
But I try to pick and choose the students that come through my school. The ones that have a referee build to them, I definitely get them learning being a referee as quickly as possible at training, just as much as being a wrestler.
Right.
So I try. I'd say probably 75% of my kids start off as a referee.
Well, that's awesome. Now, so speaking of your school, now I think I read this right. You put out there that you were, you got a new session going at your school, and you were taking new students, and this is going to be your last go around for teaching in Ohio, correct?
Tentatively, that's the plan.
Tentatively, okay.
I'm hoping to move out of the state later on this year. It may or may not happen. It's a want, not a necessity. So,
right.
I got to make sure everything's is the way it's supposed to be for me to leave and feel like I've left everything perfectly. Just starting a new company and getting things going, and the success we're having now, I feel almost compelled to hang out a little longer.
Right.
But as of now, the plan is still to dip out of Ohio late summer.
Okay. So with that comes this question. I mean, because I see you up here in Port Huron in Blue Water Championship Wrestling quite a bit, and with that, so if you do move, are you still going to actively take bookings?
I will. It'll probably just be in a different part of the country.
Right. Okay. Right. That makes sense.
Like for Blue Water, I still have family and stuff that will live in Ohio, so I wouldn't count out that we won't make a show or two a year.
Right.
Pop in here or there. Because I got a lot of good friends at a lot of these promotions, and I don't
for sure.
Just want to call it quits on all that yet. And
right.
Maybe if Andrew wants to fly me in every month, I'll be there every month.
There you go. Yeah, tell him. Hey, money bags, pay the man. That's what I. There you go. All right. Well, so before we get out of here, why don't you plug that social media and your website and stuff, and before we get out and you do all that. Thanks, man. I really do appreciate this. I mean, we've talked many times, and we say hi and all that stuff, but we never really actually get to sit down and just like have a conversation like this. So I really appreciate that, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. You can hit up the website, which is Cody-Hawk.net. I'm on all the different social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, probably MySpace too. But it's all Cody effing Hawk,
Right.
or Cody.Wrestler. So you can find me in all those places. Just look me up and I'll be there.
All right, buddy. Hey, thanks again, man, and you have a good one. I look forward to seeing you back up here in Port Huron, dude.
Yeah, man. We'll be back up there, I think, in about 2 months.
All right, man. We'll
So-
see you then.
We are the Death Threat Army. Vehicle City Villain Aaron O'Ryan.
Black Diamond Jack Price.
The Wild Child Jody Threat.
And weaponized Alex Weir. And you're watching Rasslin Rage live on Friday nights at 8 o'clock on YouTube.